The first item you will need is distilled water, and this should be pure steam distilled water and not ionized water. You can get this at your local grocery store or in the medical department of a drugstore. You will also need some type of syringe to get the water out of the container into the locomotive. The next item you need is fuel. The best is pure butane. However, on a cold day, you may want to switch to a butane-propane mix. The best mix is 20% propane and 80% butane. The pure butane cartridges, like the one in the center, can be purchased in an Asian grocery store. If you look at the tops of the containers, this one has no adapter. This one has an adapter to fit a Ronson valve. This one also has a screw-on adapter to fit a Ronson valve. You must use an adapter to get the fuel from the canister into the locomotive fuel tank. The next item you need is steam oil. Steam oil is a specially blended oil that has tallow in it that will allow the oil to mix with steam and lubricate the internal parts of the locomotive. Another item you will need is lubricating oil. A favorite lubricating oil is 3-in-1 in the blue can. This is an electric motor oil that has good high temperature adhesion characteristics. Another item you will need is some sort of lighter, and there are many different shapes and sizes. A handy item is a pump bottle with a special fitting on the end. This is for a locomotive that has a Goodall valve installed, so you can add water to the boiler while it's under steam. This locomotive is radio controlled. There is one servo that's mounted on the right side of the cab, which operates the Johnson rod, or the forward and reverse. The second servo is mounted at the top of the cab in the back, and it has a wheel that is connected to the throttle, and this controls the speed of the locomotive. The third servo is a very small micro mini park flyer servo that operates the valve for the whistle. The wires that you see here are connections from the 3 servos. The white one is the throttle, the red one is the reverser Johnson rod, and the green one is the whistle. The other plug that you see here is a plug for the headlight, which is an LED. The 2 round holes that you see is where the yoke with the 2 jets are fitted. This is the end of 2 long flues that run the length of the boiler all the way to the smoke box. This is the tender of my K-27. It houses the fuel tank, and you'll notice there's a fuel regulator valve and also a metal yoke that holds 2 nozzles, one for each one of the burners. I have installed the electronics in a tray in the top of the tender. This is the receiver. It is an AR6000. This is the battery for the receiver. It is a nickel metal hydride 4.8 volt that is rechargeable. This is a 9 volt battery for the headlight, and also you can see the fuel filler valve, the Ronson valve, at the bottom of this tube. I have a toggle switch, which is an on-off for the receiver, that is mounted on the front of the tender with the switch part underneath. dummy coal load covers all of the electronics. The reason why the electronics are in a bay rather than down inside the tender, so that I can put water in the tender, either through this filler or directly into the tub, to warm the fuel tank on really cold days when the butane has difficulty changing from a liquid to a gas. I've installed a drain valve on the lower side of the tender to drain the water when I'm finished running. Fuel is added to the tank by merely pressing down on the butane cartridge and keeping it pressed down until the fuel tank is full. When the fuel tank is full, it'll spit back a little bit and you'll know. And this is the filler valve for the water. Once the plug is taken off, water can be put into the boiler using this syringe. The idea is to fill the boiler all the way and then extract 30 milliliters to leave an airspace for the steam. Another way to check water level is to use the sight gauge, which is on the back of the boiler. Although this is sometimes unreliable because it'll get a bubble in it. Water can also be added to the boiler by using the squirt bottle and the special fitting on the Goodall valve. Steam oil is added to the displacement lubricator. First, the lubricator cap is removed. Water is drained from the lubricator. This is water from a previous run. Once the water is drained, the drain cock is closed. Steam oil is added to the displacement lubricator, filling it almost to the top, leaving room for the screw-in cap. Next, all the moving parts are lubricated. Make sure not to miss any of the bearings that are hidden.